I'm back, and this is Learn Kotlin with me, where I'm learning Kotlin programming language through exercises on exorcism, and as a bonus point, I'm documenting all the learnings in these videos. The task on hand is simple. Given a word, compute the Scrabble score for it. We're given the letter values and a few examples of what a score would be for, say, a word like cabbage. And it's as easy as that. In the test file, we have one parameterized test where we check a word against its score. It's important to pay attention to edge cases, for example, an empty string and the case of the letters. The tests don't cover Unicode characters beyond English alphabet, so it's up to the implementation either to throw an exception or return 0 for these unknown characters. Next up, we need to check on the invocation syntax to understand what it is. It looks like Scrabble score.score word input could be a class with a static method. Now the trick is that Kotlin actually doesn't have the static keyword. If you wanted some static functionality, just go ahead and create a function. In our particular case, it's clearly not a simple function. Judging by the invocation syntax, it is in fact an object called Scrabble score with the method score word. So let's go ahead and write that. So object Scrabble score, fun score word. It's going to get an input word of type string, and the return type is going to be int. There are many ways to implement this function, and I'm going to show you two. The core idea is that we want to iterate for each letter, get its score, sum it all up, and then return this value. In solution number 1, we'll build a map of characters to their scores. Because I don't want to manually write 26 unique entries to the map for each character, I want to first create the map from score to iterable of characters, because that's just going to be faster. So let's start writing it up. It's going to be a private method, get letter scores, and we're going to return a hash map of character to its integer score. And we will need a value to store this hash map, so let's call it reverse letter scores. The hash map is going to be first integer to the an array of characters, and we can create a hash map inline in Kotlin using the function hash map of. Instead of writing them all down, I'm just going to copy paste. So here we can see there are the values of 1 to an array of A, E, I, and so on and so forth, up to the 10th for letters Q and Z. Let's create the reverse hash maps. So we want it to be a value because we know we're going to be mutating it. So let's call it letter scores. It's going to be a hash map from character to integer. Just initialize the hash map with hash map. In Kotlin, we don't use new compared to Java. Then we're going to for loop through our reverse letter scores. So we're going to say for, then we're going to have a loop. So we're going to say for score letters in reverse letter scores, and then letters, and then for each, and we're gonna pass in a lambda where we will populate letter scores, it referring to the letter equaling the score, and then we return the letter scores. Now let's write the actual method of interest. We're gonna get the letter scores. So val letter scores, it's a hash map of character to int, and let's call get letter scores. Then take the word, convert it to lowercase, and sum by, and we'll pass a lambda to get the score based on the letter, where it refers to the character. If this lambda syntax looks odd to you, this is just a handy shortcut. We have used it in a previous method as well, and there's also another video going over lambda syntax in greater detail. To account for cases where the letter is not present in the map, we should do get or else and pass the default value of 0. So let's do a quick spot check if that works, run the tests, and it works. But this approach is a bit convoluted. The trick to all of this is not to build the whole hash map at all, but rather use a when expression. When expressions replace switch syntax. What is interesting about them is that you can combine multiple branch conditions with a comma, which is exactly what we need. So we're going to modify our getLetterScores method to become getLetterScore method, and this will return the score given a letter. We're going to have the input letter of type character, and then we're going to use an when expression, and we're going to match the letter. So A will match to 1 and E will match to 1, but again, as we said, we can just use the comma so we can combine those two. And again, I'm just going to copy paste all of that, and The last branch that we need to take care of is the else. So if none of these will match, we'll just return 0. Now let's fix score word. We're gonna still use sum by, but we're gonna call get letter score inside of it and pass the lambda. And this is in fact a lot more elegant. Initially, when I was working on it, I didn't realize I can use a word expression, and I'm glad that a mentor actually pointed me to this solution. Again, another spot check. We're going to run the test to see if it's all correct. And it is. We've built a personal Scrabble score calculator. Thank you for following along. I hope when expressions are going to stick and you'll find creative ways to apply them in your code. Feel free to like, subscribe, leave me feedback in the comments, and see you next time.